All right, so we got legs with bands. Once again, this whole routine is kind of designed in the vision of maybe you're on vacation, maybe you have very limited equipment, you're traveling, whatever it is, or maybe you just need to deload. So we're starting with some banded squats here. We're really just going through, opening up the joints, feeling firm on the feet, pumping it through. You'll see me in this video here kind of like looking for my bottom, like finding where I'm feeling the most engagement there. I have my hands in the position of a regular barbell squat. This is not necessary. You can have a little more out to your side if you like. Just kind of set yourself up to have the most, I guess you could say, natural squat position that you can get with the most amount of depth. I'm also using a wider stance in this portion here. This is where I was feeling the most stretch here, the best engagement for myself at the time. Once again, on these banded videos, I believe it's 3 sets of 10 to 12 with everything once again. Moving in, we're going into RDL. Now, this is a very sneaky movement here with the bands. Generally speaking, an RDL is almost entirely an eccentric movement, so it's the lengthening of the muscle. Now, when you bring the bands in, it becomes a little bit more of like a concentric movement more than it normally would be, for example, if you're using like a barbell or a dumbbell. So it's a much more glute-focused engagement at the top for me in this case. Now, I'm still looking for the stretch. I'm still going low, feeling the hamstrings open up. But at the very top of the lift here, you'll see me kind of pull my hips forward. That's me squeezing my glutes to get the engagement there. It was interesting performing it this way because it is very far out of the norm of the normal exercise. So with that being said, I kind of used it to practice something that maybe you don't do as much with the RDL. And that's that big glute squeeze at the top. You should, but it feels different here because it's much more of that concentric activation, that muscle shortening feel. Going through nice and low, not rounding the back, big engagement. Just going through. This isn't supposed to be exactly hard. It really is just to move everything around, pump some blood around the body. Going into the elevated split squat. Now, I am showing this video in the order as to how I performed it. If I could change it, I would have started with this. This was rough. This had me sore for like 3 days. I elevated the foot maybe 1.5 inches, 2 inches with a plate here. I do bring the knee all the way down to the floor. A trick that I use with some of my clients is sometimes what I'll do is I'll put a foam pad underneath their knee in case the floor is kind of uncomfortable to drop down. However, the bringing the knee all the way down to the pavement in this case is a little bit of a trick. It slows down the motion here, so you don't bang your knee against the ground, and it becomes more of a time under tension kind of thing here. This is one of the best movements you can do no matter what, for longevity, for range of motion, for balance. This is one of my absolute favorite movements to do. This was a little bit more intense than I wanted while I was performing this banded routine myself because it was designed a little bit more for a deload, and this was not easy. Like I said, if I could change it, if I could go back and do it over again, I would have started with this exercise. I probably would have moved into the RDLs next and then the regular band squats. However, I wouldn't say that it's necessary. Another thing I could have done here is maybe not have done sets of 12. Do these kind of at your own pace. This is a very challenging exercise if you've never done this before. Moving into exercise number 4, we have some band abduction movements here. Very good for the glute engagement here. I like using these ones because generally speaking, the adductors, the muscles that bring the legs towards the midline of the body, tend to be tight with most people. So this is a little bit more preventative. I don't bounce into that issue too much myself unless I'm squatting a little too heavy. But just grabbing the abductor here is always safe, always good to do, and it'll help kind of stabilize the body through the motions of the squats. If you've never done these before too, this is another very sneaky one. You can really catch a real good burn here. So be careful. This might leave you sore a little bit longer than you expect. Going through nice and easy, feeling the engagement, and returning back to center. To close it down, I won't go through the entire video of this because it was kind of boring and long, but we did side planks. We did hit a plank on each side. Just hold ourselves up. You'll see me checking my watch, trying to get a good idea of how I need to pace it. and we're holding it there, keeping ourselves upright. You'll want to do this on both sides. This one I timed myself on this one. I want to say I did about 30 seconds per side. However, I still stand by the fact that you want to get pretty close to failure and then do your best to match that time if you can kind of follow through with it. And that'll be our leg day.